everyone, and welcome to another episode of In the Studio. The program is brought to you by Davis Media Access and broadcasts on Davis Community Television, that's Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T UVerse Menu 99. We're also online at dctv.davismedia.org and on YouTube. I'm your host, Lynn Weaver, and today we're going to talk about the art theatre of Davis. And joining me here to learn more about this wonderful artistic initiative in Davis are three wonderful guests. We have Lisa Matsui Colby. She is an actor with the company. We also have Lisa Halko, another actor, and Timothy Nathan, and he is the artistic director of the Art Theatre in Davis. Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted that you have made a little time to join us and to be with us. Now, you are a wonderful group, but there is something very, very mysterious about you. You perform in a converted warehouse that used to be a car repair shop.
That's true.
You have a very ambitious repertoire, to say the least. Ibsen, Hedda Gabler, Chekhov's The Three Sisters, Noel Coward's Hay Fever, and I believe you have in the works a play by Goethe, of all people. And if that wasn't ambitious enough, you also have retranslated these plays so that you offer in your performances new versions of the strips and new interpretations of these world-famous stories. Now, who are you?
Well, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Lynn. And
so, Tim, who are you?
Who are we?
We're all a figment of Timothy's imagination.
Yeah, that's kind of true. We're kind of a community fiction, if you like. Lisa talks about legal fictions a lot because she works in law, and I think
we'll get to Lisa. She has a marvelous story. I want to know who you are. What brought you to? Is the art theatre of Davis a figment of your imagination as well?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, it's no longer a gleam in my eye. It's actually a real community theater group in Davis, and we're in the middle of our third production now. I would say very successful production, so congratulations. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So tell me about yourself first. I'm not going to let you go until you tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Davis. I grew up here. I left Davis in 1999 to study dance in New York.
Oh, very interesting. Classical dance?
Yeah, I studied classical ballet, and I also studied, the first, as they call it, sometimes now called classic modern dance, but it's really the sort of first two waves of modern dance, and also more contemporary modern dance. So yeah, that was sort of my first attempt at a career, was as a professional dancer and choreographer. Then after September 11th, I decided to change to something that was more closely allied with things people normally consider political, rather than just thinking of them politically in a sort of tangential way like modern dance. So I studied philosophy for about 5 years, and then I ended up studying theater, came back here to teach dance in Davis for a few years, and when I was fired from my dance jobs here, I started the theater group.
How
so
very
that's kind of the
interesting!
story.
What an interesting background, and of course, it gives you a new dimensions coming to the theatre with this background. Thank you, Tim. I'm going to go on to Lisa, who also has a fascinating background.
Well, I also have a background in dance and philosophy, actually, oddly.
Yeah.
Dancing philosophy?
Yes, I started off training as a ballerina, and then between an injury and the growth of a more womanly figure than was then fashionable for ballet, I ended up in theater and was trained in a conservatory, in a really unusual acting school. It's a state school in New York, the State University of New York at Purchase, where Timothy actually studied dance for a while, years later. But our class was admitted as a little company, and we were trained all together in all of our classes, including our acting class, which was led by the director of the company. And the hope was that we would stay together as a company afterward. It turned out not to be really practical. I, for one, wandered off to study philosophy and eventually became a lawyer. But other of my classmates...
philosophy lawyer?
Well, yeah, actually acting in philosophy is wonderful preparation for law. But some of my classmates stayed in theater and have been tremendously successful in all different kinds of ways. And some also did other things, but we've always stayed in touch. Then last year, after our teacher died, our wonderful teacher, who was a really extraordinary man, Walt Whitcover, he actually introduced Stiller to Mira and helped them develop their act. You know, he was a really extraordinary man with an extraordinary method of acting as if things are true. And we all actually learned to live as much as to act from him, because it turns out you can act as if true things are true, and then that's having an authentic life. So we all had a lot in common. And then recently, when we got together after his funeral, I thought, oh, why am I not doing this? So I came back to Davis. I opened the paper thinking, I wish I could be in a play. And I saw auditions for Hedda Gabler. So that was a real reawakening for me. I'm having the most wonderful time. It's fantastic to be involved in a company that is so unusual and so serious and so kind of pure, right? Because it's all art. There's no money. There's no status. There's no silliness whatsoever. It's just very, very focused on doing these fantastic plays that you never see performed, because they're not entertainment, right? You're not going to have mass tickets enough to
and they're very difficult.
And they're fabulous, difficult, interesting, challenging plays.
And controversial.
In other languages, newly translated. Although I should say that the Noel Coward, we don't do a new translation. Our licensing from Samuel French doesn't allow us to change a single word of the script.
Yes, and of course it was written in English.
And it was written in English. But the other, all of the work is just... It's very much the way it is, each different, but each very, very true to the text and true to the best we can figure out about
the intent of the author. Yes.
So I really see it as a way to make something live. It shouldn't just be in a museum and in a history of theater class, right? These are wonderful parts of the culture that we all have in common, that make us all have shared belief in a lot of good things and shared community. And I really think this is a contribution to that community by keeping these wonderful plays alive.
Well, Lisa, it's wonderful to see your enthusiasm, your genuine, lived enthusiasm here. And we're going to talk more about the translation and give credit to your translators, your translator, I think, although you've helped with some of the translation. We're going to go into that. But first I want to hear what Sarah's life has been like.
I'm a Japanese-American actress. My mother is Japanese. My dad is American. And I spend, I guess, half my time in Japan and half my time in the U.S.
So you speak Japanese, kanji?
Yes, yeah. I'm actually, I do a lot of voiceovers in both Japanese and English.
Wonderful.
So I do commercials and narration, and I did one independent Japanese anime, which I did both in characters in Japanese and then in English. I guess I've been doing, I was born in Southern California in Irvine. My dad is a professor of anthropology at UC Irvine, so I was a university brat. And I was always interested in culture and language, and I think that really influenced me in finding my way into acting. I guess I've been acting since the 5th grade. I've always been very interested in the human condition, and I think that's what acting is about. It's exploring your own emotions, your darkness, the light, and then also finding the dark and the light in every character and trying to understand other people. And I think because of that, my training has been both Western in nature. I received my BA in theater arts from Earlham College in Indiana, a small Quaker college. And then I moved to San Francisco because there's Theater of Yugen, which is a very interesting ensemble company that not only teaches Japanese, Noh, and Kyogen theater, but they also perform them, and they also do fusion work. So taking their Western playwrights who want to add, some Japanese elements to it. So I trained in that for 3 years. I'm an apprentice there. And then I returned back to my Western training, and I've been taking classes over at the American Conservatory Theater, and I just finished, I just received a certificate for their classical studies intensive. And I guess my interest has always been in the classical works.
Well, as I I've been listening to the three of you telling me about your stories, two thoughts come to mind. The first one being that if we were ever in doubt about the essential and existential value of theatre, here is an example. Your stories and your passion and your justification for what you do is ample validation that the theatre is really part of our life, our existence. And the second thought that comes to mind is, by listening to your background, fascinating background and story of your lives, I think about Luigi Pirandello's Sixth Character in Search of a Play.
Funny you should say that.
Well, of course you have three, but I'm sure we can find three others, member of your theatre, that would really fit the bill in that. And it happens to be one of my favorite plays. So perhaps in the future you'll consider this play. And since I am fluent in Italian, I volunteer myself as a translator.
Well, we do have something to tell you in that case.
Okay, good. But now back to the theatre.
Okay.
And obviously, I can see already how you your theatre differ from other community artistic enterprises. There's a couple of things that I want to ask you. You are part of the collaborative, the Third Space Collaborative here in Davis. Are you a subset of this collaborative? How do you fit in? And I'm going to ask Tim that, since he is the organizer in some ways.
Sure, yeah, great question. We are a group that works at the building which is run and leased by the Third Space Art Collective.
Yes.
Which is a group of mostly visual artists
Yes.
that decided, to hell with working alone, we're going to work together, and not just work on art projects together. It's really more about pooling our resources so that we can have a group space, because we actually don't need our own little castle where we can paint. We can have one castle where everyone paints and comes and goes when they like, or does screen printing or whatever else they do.
Yes.
So that's how they started their building, which was originally known as Third Space. It was started by Lauren Cole Norton, who's an artist, musician, entrepreneur in Sacramento and Davis. Mm-hmm. And she's now handed over management of that same building where we built our theater to this group of visual artists that were previously renting from her. So now, under our current arrangement, I know it sounds kind of musical chairish, but basically I rent from them, and I become a sort of member of their art group. Mm-hmm. And then to a certain extent, their group supports our group by providing an affordable venue, rehearsal space, mm-hmm. and occasional doses of artistic expertise.
For the scenes?
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
Typically no, because
mm-hmm.
they have their own artwork, which is more important to them. Mm-hmm. But occasionally, yeah, people help us based on their skill set, and that's really what Third Space is really good for, sharing resources, both skill-wise
yes.
as well as material resources.
Yes. At some point, I think that we will display both your website and the Third Space Collaborative websites. And I must say that I love both of these websites. They're beautifully done. Professionally, they look very professional. And I also need to mention that you've been covered in the news several times. So, the interesting thing was the article that you had in Sacramento News and Reviews that raves about your art and your performances, but of course had something to say about the venue,
like
which
the lights
is
going up. In the middle of it, Gobbler.
So it sounds very romantic, what they say about your venue.
It is
also
romantic.
Yes, it is romantic.
It's love in the garret, except it's art.
It is, yes. And also you were reviewed by the Davis Enterprise and the Aggie, the California Aggie newspaper. And so I urge the viewers to go to the art theater website as well as the Third Space Collaborative websites. They're very, very interesting. There are videos and other things that are of much interest. But since we have so much to talk about, and I really would like to come to the readings of your next play. So very quickly, you're going to read from Goethe's Eggman. And not only that, but a new translation from the German of this world-famous play. So very quickly, we need to give credit to your translator. And please, Tim, or whoever feels closest to this topic, please
Sure.
Comment on the translation. And then we'll go right into the scene.
Okay, you got it. So basically, yes, we've been working with a gentleman whose name is Adam Siegel, who is a professional translator and works also as a librarian at Shields Library at UCD.
Oh, how interesting.
He also acted in our first play.
A Renaissance man, then.
Indeed.
Yes, right. He probably also juggles and throws daggers. So,
You could have built an airplane.
So what we're reading today is, and this is exciting for me, is because I told him when we had this last-minute opportunity to do an interview here, hey, have you got any of the next play done? We'd love to read some. And so he sent it to me this morning. We printed it out, and now...
First he panicked. And then he sent it to you.
Well, you know, I mean, he's a very, you know, even-keeled person.
Cool person.
So he didn't betray his panic, but I'm sure he did, yes. So we got a little scene here between Egmont's lady friend, Clara, and her mother, and they're talking in their house. Basically, the scene is they're discussing her relationship with two gentlemen. She had a prior boyfriend whose name is Brackenberg, and then when Egmont came along, he was so virtuous and wonderful that she decided he was the one for her. But the mom, you know, maybe a little, you know, more mixed on the judgment of the two. So I don't know. Is that
yes,
good?
it
Should we take it
is.
from
And
there?
just as a reminder, of course, everybody knows Goethe, the father of German literature, a giant, prolific. You know, probably everybody has learned about, knows about Goethe. And just to make sure, we know Egmont was written in the 19th century, somewhere. 18th century. Yes,
right.
18. One of his first plays then.
And Beethoven was so inspired by it that he wrote all that Egmont music.
That's right, Egmont, yes. So it is a masterpiece in its own right, and I'm sure it's been translated many times. So I'm looking forward not only to rereading this play, but also this scene, but also the upcoming performance. Yes. So go ahead, please.
Okay. Let's see what we got here.
Well, dear. So, you've sent Brackenberg away again.
I'm just curious, and I can't blame Brackenberg, but his presence hurts me. I never know how to be myself around him. I'm all wrong for him, and it gnaws away at me, at my heart, that he feels so strongly. But can I do anything to change it?
He is steadfast.
But I can't let it go. I still have to be nice to him. Even though my hands clench involuntarily whenever he touches me and caresses me, I blame myself that I'm betraying him, that I'm feeding his heart with hope in vain. I'm sick over it. God knows I'm not betraying him. I don't want to lead him on, but I don't want to crush him either.
That's not good.
I do like him, and I want what's best for his heart. I could marry him, yes, but I don't think I would ever be in love with him.
You'd always be happy with him.
I'd be taken care of. I'd have an easy life.
Well, it's your fault. That's all forfeit.
It's put me in such a strange situation. When I look at how this has gone, I feel like I know everything and yet know nothing. And then all I have to do is see Egmont again and everything makes sense to me. Nothing makes more sense. Oh, what a man he is. Throughout the provinces, they're all praying to him, and wouldn't I be the happiest girl in the world in his arms?
And what does the future hold?
I'm just asking whether if he loves me. Is that even a question?
Nothing but heartbreak when it comes to your children. How will this all turn out? So much worry, so much grief. This won't end well. You've made yourself unhappy. You've made me unhappy.
From the beginning, you let it happen.
I was too kind, unfortunately. I've always been too kind.
If Egmont were to ride up and I ran to the window, would you change your attitude? You yourself wouldn't go to the window to see. What if he looked up at us, smiled, nodded, and saluted me? Would you object? Wouldn't you feel honored on behalf of your daughter?
Some more blame to me then.
And if he were to come down this road often, and we both knew perfectly well that he was coming this way because of me, you wouldn't feel even some private joy? You'd call me back inside if I were to stand at the window and wait for him?
Did I ever think it would come to this?
The evenings he would wrap up in his cloak, surprised to find our lamp lit, that we were ready to receive him, the way I would sit as if bolted to the chair, looking on him in wonder.
And shouldn't I be frightened that my bright young Clara might be torn from me by so star-crossed a lover? I must face the fact that my daughter...
Mother, that's what you want.
Oh.
It makes you happy when I'm upset and anxious.
So cry then. You and your sadness make me even more miserable. Isn't it grief enough that my only daughter is being discarded?
Discarded? Egmont's beloved discarded? How many princesses have envied poor little Clara her place in his heart? Oh, mother, mother, don't talk like that. Oh, dear mother, be kind. The people who think so, the neighbors who talk, this room, this little house, this very haven, since Egmont's love dwells within it.
He deserves love and kindness. That is true.
I've seen from
Egmont.
Performed by Sara, Matsui and Lisa Halko of the Art Theatre in Davis.
For the first time ever in the world.
Yes, I'm afraid our time is up, but this is something to look forward to, since I believe it's going to be your next performance. Thank you all, Sara, Lisa, and Tim, for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and I wish you the best of luck. And I will certainly be among the audience. And thank you, all of you, for watching today. If you'd like to see this episode again, you can go and stream it on our website, dctv.davismedia.org, or you can go on YouTube as well. From all of us here at Davis Media Access, thank you, and see you next time.